was pretty busy getting this painted before the sun went down yesterday, so I didn't really get to update. But yeah, I gave up on the little sandblaster pretty quick. It was going to take way too long, so we just sealed up everything as best we could and hit the sides of the engine with the big sandblaster, and it did it in a few minutes compared to what would have been a couple of hours with that little one. That little one would be good for, like, you could do the rocker covers with it and get them pretty good, but not the whole engine. So yeah, just went straight for the big sandblaster and it did the job. Then yeah, we just used crushed glass, so it's pretty easy on everything. It's just more the fact that you don't want to get it in everywhere. But yeah, it was alright. Gave it a blow down and should be right. So, but yeah, it's come up looking good. So we're going to unbolt the jakes off this engine here. The fuel lines and stuff are already off. Whoever pulled this motor apart just chucked it roughly back together. I've got the fuel lines for the left bank over here. And they're there, so I cleaned them out. I don't know how to adjust the rack or the injectors or the throttle delay yet. I've read the manual, but obviously there's a tune-up kit you can get. I don't know if you can do it without the tune-up kit, but I'm gonna I'm gonna put the jakes on with the fuel lines, adjust the valves, adjust the jakes, and leave the throttle delay and the injectors till it's in the truck running, because I also have to change the buffer screw to put the jake switch in. The buffer screw's in the governor, and that needs to be done when you need to be able to start it and adjust the buffer screw. So I'm not going to do that yet either. I'm just going to sit the jakes on and put the rock covers back on, and then when it's running I'll make sure none of the lines leak or anything like that. So that's the plan. got these jakes sitting on, and these hold down bolts get torqued to 120 Newton meters. I just got a rough idea of how to put them all together from the manual and how to go, so I'll give you guys a bit of a rundown on the other side in case anyone's doing a similar thing by adding jakes to an engine that doesn't have them. So change the fuel lines, the exhaust valve rocker bridges, and put the jake heads on. You've got one master in the middle and two slaves each side, and the difference is the jake solenoid there, and that feeds oil to each one through the jumper screw here. You have a little O-ring seal in there and there, and then you wind that screw out to clamp it. You wind it out till it's tight, I think, and then back it off a third of a turn, or otherwise it can break that screw. So you don't want it hard up against that. You want a little bit of movement between all the heads. So those seals don't come in the kit, so I've ordered them from Detroit. They're on their way. They're about $15 each. So sounds expensive for little O-rings, but I don't know where I should get them from. Jacob says that, yeah, they're a Detroit OEM part. The number is 1332. If you need them, you should just be able to ring up any Detroit dealer and give them that number, and they'll be able to send them out to you. Whether they're the right ones, but they should be. I'll know soon enough. So yeah, that's the plan. I don't have the little special socket to do the fuel lines up, so I've just knit them up, not too tight because you can break them. They split and leak, so I'll just have to start it with the rocker covers off and make sure none leak, because obviously I don't know the engine they come off if they're any good, or if anyone's over tightened them in the past. So that's that for that side. I'll give you guys a bit of a rundown and walk you through it as I'm putting them on, now that I have half an idea, and then I'll go through and adjust the valves, and the jakes should tell me in the manual how to do that. I'll have a reader, and I've just got to add the wire that will come through the head through one of those grub screws. So that's where we're at the moment. I've decided I'm gonna make a socket to do up these fuel lines. I've just got an old socket. I'm gonna cut it, extend it, put a slot down it so that I can use it to torque these fuel lines down properly, and hopefully don't have any issues with them. So I'll go cut that and make that work. Got all my jake parts cleaned up, the fuel lines, the exhaust valve bridges, the master, two slaves, ready to go. I can bolt it on. I just got to undo the bolts out of here, because these bolts are shorter so they don't get reused, and pull the one bridge off. The only thing different about this side is it has a throttle delay here, which is apparently oil operated, like a little shock absorber, I guess, and it stops makes it so you can't snap the throttle straight to full throttle and load it right up. So it's basically a smoke limiting device. That engine over there has the housing for one, but it's not hooked up, so it's not critical to make it run. I think it's just probably a fuel economy and emissions type of thing, but I'll leave it on there for now because it seems to work. And yeah, so if you're putting jakes on an engine that doesn't have jakes, this is the main things you have to change: the bolts, the jake heads, obviously. The fuel lines are longer, they go around the edge, and the exhaust rocker bridges, not all of them, just half of them. And yeah, so I'll pull those ones apart, and then I'll show you how we sit them on, and then we'll figure out how to adjust them. So once you've got the rocker pedestal bolts out and your exhaust valve bridges sitting on there, you can pretty much just go ahead and drop the jake heads on like that, get them lined up, make sure they go in their home, make sure that these little fuel injector rocker guide things at the back are lined up. And just go on and wind them down. I don't know why some of the bolts are always tight in the housings. I pulled them out and it doesn't look like there's anything in there, so must just be a neat fit in there, I'd say. So do that to all three. I just do them up lightly in case they need a bit of a tweak to get these oil jumper screws lined up. Then if it looks like the oil jumper screws are going to line up okay, I just go ahead and torque them down to 120 Newton meters, or like 90 foot-pounds. And then we can go ahead and stick the fuel lines on. I have the fuel lines here. I just stick them on whichever way they don't hit anything, and seems to do okay. So yeah, just sit them on there, and then I use my special socket that I've got to torque them down. Then once I've got them all on there and nipped up and they're not touching the housings at all, because if they're touching the housings they'll probably rub through and it wouldn't take very long. I get my little custom socket. It spreads a bit here, but it did up the other side okay, and it gives me about half a turn before it hits the line, so that's enough to get it torqued up. Just got to get it in the right spot, maybe. Once you get it on there like that, I'm just going for 16 Newton meters, which is roughly 143 inch-pounds, I think. Just like that, and go through and do all of them like that. I've got these two little screw-in spade terminals. They go in these plugs in the back side of the head to feed your wire through to run to the Jake master solenoid. So the Jake manual says to do the one towards the back, but in the middle, that plug there. I assume it's just closest to that one, and then just run the wire in through there. So I'll take that plug out, screw those in, and then I'll make up a little wire to go from there to there. And yeah, I'll put a couple of cable ties on the fuel line, maybe something to hold it in there, because there's not really anything to hold it. And yeah. Okay, I got my little jumper wires in there. They clear the push rods and they shouldn't hit. I've realised one thing. Because these Jakes have been sitting, obviously the solenoids have stopped working. They should push in a small amount. I'll show you what a good one does just here. See, that's the same thing, and it should do that, where the other one doesn't do that at all. So I'm going to have to wind them out and see if I can free them up, and if not, I'll have to swap them, because they definitely won't work. I don't know if they're stuck in or out, but we'll have a look and see. So I've freed that up. You can see it goes in and springs back by itself. On these you have 3 seals. You can see the first one there, which is broken. The second one there, and then the third one goes at the end here, which is still stuck up in the bore. And they're all hard as a rock, so I'm gonna have to get new ones. It's like Friday, so it's Christmas Monday, so nothing's open now because it's like 4:30, but Cat are open on Wednesday, and they can get them because they're just standard sort of Jake solenoid seals, so I can get them from Cat with Cat part numbers, which I've got. Jacobs have a really good parts search thing where you just put in the Jacobs part number and it'll tell you the OEM number and where you can get it from, like Cat number, Detroit number, and yeah, you'd be surprised at how many different places actually carry them. So yeah, that's the plan now. I'll free up the other side, put this wire back on, and then I'm going to adjust the Jakes and the valves and go from there. I've just got a little M12 battery shoved on there, and when I touch this, give it power, you can see that's working how it should now. Alrighty, I've adjusted 5 cylinders and I thought I'd leave this one to last. So I'll give you a bit of a rundown of how I do it. So first I adjust these little valve bridges here. You want to do that, we loosen the nut off, and I use another spanner or a pry bar to stop it twisting because they're reasonably tight. So loosen that off, and then I just put pressure on the top of it with my finger, and I just turn the little screw until I can just feel it lift the bridge, and you sort of feel where the spot is and then hold it there with the screwdriver and nip it up with the spanner like so, and that just makes sure that you're pushing both valves down at the same time. Like if that was out, it would start pushing one down before the other, and that's obviously not what you want. So if I can get this in there. So I do that to both of them the same way. And I especially want to do this because taking these bridges off, half these bridges off the other motor and putting them on this one, everything's not going to be the same. So it's definitely worth doing. And like I said, I just have to get the proper tool to adjust the injector, because that'll be the only thing I won't be able to do. Okay, so that's both bridges done. I just put a yellow mark on things I've done so I don't lose track. It's easy to forget once you're on a roll. Then what I do is the valves, the rockers, so they're 16 thou. So that one's pretty loose, it should have some drag, and then this one can't get it under there. So the bridges I changed are too tight and the original ones are too loose. So I might move the phone so you can see. So while I've got my feeler gauge in between the rocker and the valve bridge, I loosen off this lock nut at the back, 1/2 inch spanner, if I can, like that, and then get 5/16 spanner and turn the push rod. You go, which way am I going to go? So you go clockwise to tighten the valve and anti-clockwise to loosen it. Then I just go till there's just a bit of drag on the feeler gauge, and then when you do the lock nut up, it automatically makes it a little bit tighter. So I go till it's just a small amount of drag on the feeler gauge, and then do the lock nut up, and then recheck it. And that's too tight. So we need to go anti-clockwise a bit and tighten it back up. And I would say that's nice. That's got a little bit of drag on it. That's tight. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Put a yellow mark on it to say I've done it. And then go on to the other one. So that one I can't even get the feeler gauge in because that's the one I've changed the bridge on. So loosen the lock nut, anti-clockwise, because that's making the push rod shorter. So it's pulling the rocker down a bit. It's a bit tight still. Yeah, I'm happy with that one. Make sure it's tight. Yep. And then we want to go on to the Jake. After I put a yellow mark on it, I'll put the phone back where it was and we'll do the Jake. So, to do the Jake, what you want to be able to do is fit 59 thou worth of feeler gauges underneath these little feet that push down on top of the valve bridge. So it's too tight at the moment, so we just get a 9/16 spanner and loosen the lock nut, and then wind the Allen key out a little bit. Now, because there's two sides of the feet, they're not always going to be the same, so you want to adjust it to the foot with the tightest tolerance. So whichever foot is tighter, that's the one you want to set to 59 thou. And in this case, it's the outside one. So I just move the feeler gauge back and forwards until it starts to grab, and then do it up. The torque spec for these lock nuts is 24 Newton meters. Make sure when you do it up, it takes the slop out the thread and it just loosens it up a tiny amount so you can go a little bit tighter. That's pretty good. Put torque wrench on it. 24. And that's all the Jakes and valves adjusted. Just like that. Sweet. That's my budget ceramic coating sprayed. Doesn't look too bad. Once I know the engine's good and it lasts a while, I'll be happy to get the manifolds and exhaust system ceramic coated properly. I'll probably make a stainless pipe, replace this with stainless because it's got a couple of little pinholes starting in it, so just making it look good for a roadworthy pretty much. So yeah, I'll remake the exhaust. That'll be a job one day. So yeah, that'll do for now. Can bolt those bits back on. I just got to paint the rocker covers, which are one's sitting there and one's sitting down there, and then I've got a coolant pipe and the front and rear engine mounts. They'll be painted red to match chassis, that green, and probably the rocker covers green, I think. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. So we've achieved a bit so far. We've got the engine all painted, jakes are fitted, clutch is on, you can see there. I did a time lapse fitting that up. So this clutch is a new old stock one that I found on Gumtree, and it was about $1,000 cheaper than one off the shelf. So I went with that. It's a Eat and Easy pedal. That's just an old input shaft I had laying around, and I've used that to line it up. So you can see that that goes into the pilot bearing pretty easy. It's a bit difficult to do with one hand, but you can get the picture. Torque the bolts down, installed as the instructions say to. Pretty much just have to make sure your clutch plates are facing the right way. One side faces the flywheel and the other side has to face the intermediate plate. And then you tap in your 4 dowel pins into the flywheel. But yeah, it's all pretty basic in the instructions, and your wooden blocks fall out once you torque it down. So clutch is installed, got the alternator belts on, fan belts on, new silicone hoses on all the little connections that would be a pain to do in the truck. So really that's ready to go. All I have to do is get new seals for these Jake solenoids and wait for my little joiner seals to go in there, and then the rocker covers can go back on. But when I start it, I will have to have the rocker covers off so I can make sure none of those fuel lines leak or anything like that, and make sure the Jakes aren't leaking oil out of anywhere. They're my temporary rocker covers. I painted them up and they come up not too bad. I will polish this set here, but I want to get the truck going first, and I don't want to waste time polishing those when I could be doing more important things. We've got the bonnet and the bumper off to make putting the engine in easier, putting the radiator in. Got to weld these cracks in the cross member, and of course got to paint it. So I've got to fit this spring hanger in place of that spring hanger, and then that'll allow the power steering box to go on, and then this manual steering box with hydraulic assist, and that ram, that all gets taken off and those hoses all go. I pretty much just keep the steering fluid reservoir, and that'll be all that stays really. So that's where we're at the moment. I'm going to get this jacked up and pull the front wheels off, and then swap that spring hanger over and sand chassis down just to in line with the tanks. That cross member there that goes under there, just going to paint up till there, just to make it look nice, because it'd be a pain to paint once the engine was in. So at least then underneath the bonnet everything should be all done, and I can sort of work my way from the front of the truck to the back. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, it's all happening, slowly getting there. It's looking not too bad. Can't remember if I forgot to explain anything else, but it'll probably come to me when I edit. Got to do all these lines once it's in the truck, but they're all going to be different lengths because it's all set up differently in the Kenworth compared to the Louisville was. So yeah, I've got the starter motor bolted on. So yeah, it's going well. Hope everyone had a good Christmas. It'll be New Year's soon. And yeah, also got a couple of these bad boys. Got to figure out how they work, but apparently should make it sound better. So you should be able to hear me talk all the time, and I don't know if the settings are right, but if it's too loud or too quiet, I'm sure you guys will let me know, but should be good for increasing the quality of the recording and the videos. So I guess now I've upped my level of YouTube status, one more from complete amateur to amateur. So, but yeah, I think that means I'm a little bit higher up in the YouTube world now. And then I've got 2 of these, so when the truck's going, I'll be able to sit one up near the exhaust, and should have a nice crisp soundtrack of Detroit noises. So it should be a good investment and worth it, hopefully, if I figure out how to use it. But that's where we're at this stage. It's the end of this episode pretty much. The next episode will be chassis, spring hanger, sanding, paint. And then after that, there should be no reason why the engine can't go in. So yeah, it's all happening slowly, but we're getting there. So hope you guys had a good Christmas and have a good new year. And yeah, thanks for watching as always, to the regular viewers and the new ones. It's good to have you here. So yeah, I appreciate all the interest that trucks had. It's been good and I'm enjoying it. Can't wait to hear it run. So yeah, thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.